Research and exploration into uncharted territories is difficult, taking time, perseverance and patience. I'd be lying if I were to tell you that Cardano is perfect. All blockchains have drawbacks inherent in the design of the protocol, and all have to manage trade-offs. However, Cardano's critics believe its approach is a flaw, labelling it a science project rather than a viable investment opportunity that will ever see mass adoption. But how does a blockchain scale to billions of users if it can't convince governments, institutions and populations that it can provably scale securely to so far unseen numbers of users? I'd argue for Cardano, the very thing the critics state is a flaw is actually its greatest weapon. And if I were to bet on a blockchain that is going to come out on top in the long run, it would be the one that wrote over 100 scientific peer-reviewed papers, built from scratch, no copy-paste, 1 million plus lines of code, and has a vision to make a system that levels the economic and geographic playing field globally. Welcome back to another instalment of Cardano Insights, delivering a fast-paced bite-sized roundup of the all-important Cardano news and interesting ecosystem content from the past 24 hours. Join me as I explore exactly what's been happening at the very pulse of Cardano. So let's get straight into it. On the subject of mass adoption, as you know, IOHK's partnership with World Mobile will play a massive role if they are to successfully bank the unbanked. First, you need to connect the billions of unconnected people to cellular and internet networks. Yesterday, World Mobile made this announcement. James Tagg has now joined the World Mobile team as chief architect. This is pretty big news. If you didn't know already, James Tagg invented the mobile phone touchscreen and was the first person to make a web call on the mobile phone. In addition, he's built a network that spans 8 countries. World Mobile's vision to connect the unconnected obviously presents huge problems, as they need to cover an enormous area and specifically smaller parts of that large expanse with very high bandwidth. To solve this, as James explained, they're building a hybrid network using aerostats, which are large balloons elevated in fixed positions, raised 300 meters that can broadcast to the horizon. He explained that from 300 meters high, the horizon is about 50 miles away. After doing that, they can fill in the gaps with fiber-connected smaller air nodes that will give coverage to people on the ground. First launching in Zanzibar, with a single deployment that will cover the entire island with broadband and cellular coverage. And in the latest short Cardano 360 update, Mickey and James gave us this insight. They announced that World Mobile would be launching their dynamic network technology in the USA. Using their aerostat, they can provide broad cellular coverage for the wide expanses of America that don't currently have cell coverage today. For perspective, the aerostat can reach 100 kilometers, unlike the current cell towers, which only reach 30 kilometers. Mickey also updated us that the first air nodes have been deployed in Zanzibar, and the aerostats will land late July, early August, where it will be launched and effectively creating a smart country. This is really big news for World Mobile and another step forward for connecting the unconnected via the Cardano blockchain, that would in effect tap into a completely untouched market of users. Whilst we can compete from users from other chains and new users from the developed world, connecting the unconnected and banking the unbanked is not only a great statement for humanity, but it's also an extremely shrewd move from a commercial perspective. So if you want to go and check them out, I've linked both the World Mobile James Tagg announcement and the latest short Cardano 360 update videos in the description below. Next to some Cardano development news, we got this update from Charles about progress regarding input endorsers. He wrote, "Just got off a research call. I think everyone will be pleased about some genuinely amazing things coming together for input endorsers. We'll have a video at Consensus on it." The implementation of input endorsers aims to separate transaction selection from block production. Input endorsers allow the protocol to use the time delay between block creation to process more transactions without increasing the time it takes to produce a block, and thereby increasing the throughput of the chain. This is another layer to Cardano's efforts in improving the speed and scalability of the blockchain. If you're interested in a longer but simplified explanation of input endorsers and how it's going to benefit the Cardano blockchain, check out this thread from Suraj, which I've linked in the description below. We also got this update from NFT Maker, who are building an NFT ecosystem on the Cardano blockchain. They announced you can now mint Cardano NFTs directly using your credit card. In order to interact, you'll need to download a paper wallet, this is where the NFT will be received, and complete some KYC. At this stage, you'll then be able to use a credit card to pay for the mint. The fiat will then be converted to USDC and paid to the artist. The paper wallet can then be restored in any Cardano wallet. Whilst for me I prefer to interact on the blockchain using crypto, I thought this does highlight yet another step forward in making NFTs and the use of the Cardano blockchain more mainstream. Recently, I covered Alex Velatis, who, as an outsider to Cardano, spent 2 weeks researching the blockchain and produced a Medium article detailing his research findings. Well, yesterday he tweeted this: "I'm seeing a lot of Solana versus Cardano beef. Neither community seems to take the other seriously, and both struggle to understand how the other project can be in the top 10. I studied both blockchains last month and here's my take. In his opinion, Solana scores extremely high on their blockchain usability and dApp ecosystem. It's super fast and cheap and has a bunch of fun end-user facing use cases like their NFTs, which are second only to Ethereum, and DeFi dApps. This makes Solana an attractive blockchain for end users that are sensitive to price and don't want to overcome steep learning curves. However, this experience has come at a cost, namely scalability and centralization concerns. On the other hand, you have a blockchain like Cardano that scores extremely high on their underlying tech and protocol. They've spent years researching the best ways to build their protocol, and every concept is peer-reviewed ahead of time. This makes Cardano an extremely attractive blockchain for those deeply knowledgeable in the space and hyper-focused on decentralization and security. However, this has come at a cost of delayed rollouts and a comparatively more adolescent NFT and dApp ecosystem. He then continues to question which blockchain will come out on top. The Solana community will argue their scalability issues will be solved in time, and any short-term halts of the blockchain won't matter because their user base ultimately cares about user experience and low fees, which they do very well. The Cardano community, on the other hand, will argue that their slow and deliberate approach will start to pay off now that smart contracts are live and the NFT ecosystem is heating up, and Cardano has a strong technical foundation to build on, which is easy to do up front versus in motion, for example see Ethereum's move to proof of stake. He closes by summarising that there could be a third option, which is that we have a multi-chain future in which both of these blockchains continue to do very well by targeting different audiences and use cases. He states, ironically, both blockchains could benefit from studying each other and learning what the other is doing better. And he closes, that's why I don't recommend writing off either blockchain or burning bridges. One day, you all may be in the same ecosystem after all. Personally, I think this was a fair assessment of the current state of play between Cardano and Solana, and I do see a multi-chain future where many blockchains will operate and interact in the space. It is, however, difficult to build a comparison when one evidently moves fast and breaks things, while the other is taking a far more considered approach. Both chains are in completely different stages of development. While Solana does get dApps to market quickly and allows for better user experience for the here and now, lots of this is down to the centralized nature of its development. We could take this approach on Cardano, but then decentralization suffers. Also, you'll never be able to convince me that a blockchain that needs to continuously be restarted makes for better usability, not to mention the amount of hacks and individuals that have lost sizable amounts through wallets being drained. Because of what Cardano is building and attempting to achieve literally has never been done before, it's problematic to benchmark it against other chains as a gauge of its success, and in this respect is really not a fair comparison. For me, Cardano is carving out its own path, and now the foundation has been laid, let's see how it stacks up to its competitors regarding speed, scale and usability with the optimizations post-Vassal hard fork. So that's it for another installment of Cardano 24-hour Insights. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please be sure to comment, like, share and subscribe to the channel for more Cardano news and community insights coming very soon. Thanks for watching, and until next time, as always, have a great day and keep it Cardano.